United States and why that's occurring. At the turn of the century, the average woman had over 3 children. That rate has now dropped down to 1.62, and population replacement rate is 2.1 children per woman. Around the same time, the average family size was 4.6 people, and by 2000, that had dropped down to 2.59. I've reviewed information from the US Census, the CDC, Pew Research, and others, and I found trends and possible outcomes that I'll share with you today. So let's talk about the fertility rate versus the birth rate. These are used interchangeably, but they are two completely different things. The total number, fertility rate is the total number of live births, regardless of the age of the mother, per 1,000 women of reproductive age. The birth rate is calculated by dividing the number of live births in a population in a year by the mid-year resident population. So on July 1st, however many people are alive, old, young, elderly, children, that's what's used in the birth rate. And so the reason that this is happening right now is what I found is that number one, there's been an increase in access to birth control, cultural shifts, people not expected to marry and have children, and also there's been a drastic decline in the number of teen pregnancies. And so after reviewing all of the data, I can ascertain that this is number one, a personal choice, and also demographic shifts, and it's going to impact our economy, the workforce, and social services. So now let's take a look at all of these in a little bit more detail. So the first one is access to birth control. Um, this has allowed women to have fewer unplanned pregnancies and to have her first baby later in life. And delaying the first child that she has resulted in having a lower or a smaller window to have more children. In 1960, 22 was the age that a woman had her first baby, and now that has dropped down. Well, it's actually increased to 27 and a half years old. And it's allowed women and men to prioritize their career, their education, and also having the ability to plan for families. In 1960, women were minorities in colleges, and now college applications for women outnumber men. And also, degrees in the area, bachelor's degrees and master's degrees mainly go to women. The number of women outnumber the number of men getting those degrees. And then, secondly, cultural shifts. There's less social pressure to marry and or have children. Pew Research has shown that there's more acceptance among people, accepting that people are not going to marry and not everybody is going to have children. In 1974, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act allowed women to open their own bank accounts, and that wasn't an option before then. And so women's rights and women's choices have also impacted cultural shifts. And the third major cause has been the decrease in teen pregnancy. As you can see here, during the baby boomer years, the teen pregnancy was highest. People married earlier. And then in 1991, we had a little blip on the chart. And then between 1991 and now, teen pregnancy has decreased by 78%. And this is mainly attributable to abstinence and also, as we discussed earlier, access to birth control. And now let's look at birth rates and fertility declines between 2000 and 2023. There was a peak in 2007, and now we're down to a record low in 2023. The fertility rate in 2007 was 2.12, and now it's at 1.62, well below population replacement rates. And the number of births to women under 30, women and girls under 30 has decreased, and the number of births to women over 30 has actually increased. So, what's the effects of all of these changes that are going on? I'm so glad you asked. So, there will be more, the population of people over age 65 is going to increase. There will be fewer workers, fewer spenders, and savers. And this is going to put a strain on social services such as Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And so we know that these changes are happening, and the fertility rate is projected to remain low for the next 30 to 50 years. And so what needs to happen is we need to plan, we need to strategize ways to navigate through these changes. And so what are some things that we can do? First, we can encourage older workers to stay in the workforce or go part time. We can maximize our use of AI wisely. Um, we can try and increase productivity for workers as well as automation where it makes sense. And then finally, for workers who are choosing to have children, we can support them by giving generous paid time off. We can also try and make childcare more affordable, offer subsidies, and then also beneficial tax credits. And so, in closing, I would say we know that these changes are happening. We know that they're going to occur. And so, our future does not depend on the number of people that we have, but it depends on us using our resources wisely.